welcome to Poorly Explained. I am joined by my lovely, effervescent, and always delightful mother. Hi, Mum.
Hi, how are you, my darling girl?
All the better for seeing you. How you doing on this fine morning, afternoon? We're kind of in that threshold, that twilight zone.
But it's time for a drink.
Ooh, she's got her paw and I've got my paw. Which
do.
is what makes us Poorly Explained.
Poorly explained. And of course, it has to be a French rosé.
It does.
Because any other rosé, no.
Nope.
Nationality matters. Mm-hmm.
So you've settled for a French rosé and I've settled for tap water. And that's fine. That's fine. So yeah, I think this is our pilot. This is our first episode. This is our great dive into the great unknown. So I guess for the kids at home, this is just a chat between me and my mum. This is us catching up after a long week, and we're going to be talking about everything and anything poorly, because we are two opinionated British women who live in America and we've got a lot to say about nothing in particular.
And we do like a good controversial subject.
We do like to gab. We do like to goss.
We do. The deep and meaningfuls, Caitlin, the deep and meaningfuls, daughter of mine.
Yes. And speaking of deep and meaningfuls, there is nothing more deep and meaningful than what I want to talk with you about today. And that is a proper English breakfast.
Now you're talking. Now you are talking my language. Oh, I can't wait to see.
Highly controversial.
Oh, let's do it. Bring it.
Yes.
This is serious. We're going out of the gates big for our pilot.
Yes, I thought I would pick something that both of us know intimately well. Both you and I have made an English breakfast before, but I don't think we've ever actually sat down and talked about what makes an English breakfast. We've talked about in the past how English breakfast can be done wrong. But I've done the research, I've searched the history, I've searched the variations, and we are going to talk about what makes an English breakfast an English breakfast.
Very, very controversial.
Right. So I'm going to start by prefacing that most of this information is provided by the English Breakfast Society, who I feel like are experts in this department. So if I get anything wrong, it's their fault. No.
Okay. All right. We shall see. We shall see.
So nobody really knows where the English breakfast come from. No one's really quite sure. It's kind of been around for a long time, but we have theories, we have suspicions, and we have, working hypotheses, shall we say, about where this has come from. So the idea of a full English breakfast comes from.
Do not tell me it comes from France. Do not tell me it was an import. I will be mortified.
So the full English breakfast came to the British Isles around the time of the Norman invasion in 1066. Because
is that a Caitlin fact? That's not a Caitlin fact.
That's not.
No.
So I've literally in my notes it says, because of all the great things British, we stole it from somewhere else.
Oh, that's heartbreaking.
But actually, the continuation of the history, I think you'll enjoy.
Okay.
So before 1066, breakfast was not called breakfast. Breakfast was called the Morgenmeat, which basically means.
Can you say that again
meat.
with a straight face?
Morgenmeat. Oh, the Morgenmeat. You come around to the fireplace. We have the Morgenmeat. We hang out. It is very, I don't know why I'm going Swedish with it, but
okay.
Yes.
All right.
So before breakfast, the Anglo-Saxon word for breakfast was morgenmeat, which meant morning meat, because that's primarily what breakfast was in the morning. It was, cooked meats. And then with the Normans invading, they of course brought their own traditions, their own staples, their own ideas, new languages, cooking traditions, new names for ingredients. So, that's where the idea of breakfast comes from, the breakfast.
Right.
And of course, with the Normans, swimming in, coming in, showing off what they did, that really pissed off the Anglo-Saxons. They were like,
shocking.
Hate this. Whatever that the Normans have got, terrible. So instead of absorbing all the Norman traditions, with their fancy breakfast, without their breads, their toast, their jam, their breakfast coming together, shall we say, the Anglo-Saxons were like, I hate you, and I don't even want to think about you. And we're going to really reiterate what it means to be Anglo-Saxon, to be English.
Love that for us.
Yes. So they basically, the Anglo-Saxons doubled down. So that was kind of the idea of where the idea of having an English breakfast came from, was to differentiate from the Normans because they were wrong and silly.
So what was in a Norman breakfast then?
So a Norman breakfast was a combination of bread, meat, cheeses, fruits, a complete balanced diet that made them
a charcuterie board.
Yeah, basically it was a breakfast charcuterie board where it was, a balanced diet full of fruits and starch, and it was balanced, and it's what made them strong soldiers. And they were not really like with the idea of having a cooked meat as a breakfast item, shall we say.
Okay.
They were kind of, they were more like, let's keep it simple, let's keep it staple.
Right.
So an Anglo-Saxon breakfast at the time was actually more considered porridge, or like a gruel that was barley and oats.
Slop.
It was basically a morning porridge, sometimes served with cheese, butter, or honey, depending on what you were feeling. Sausages and bacon weren't even in the equation yet. We didn't even believe in bacon. We didn't believe in sausages. It was just not, it wasn't a thing.
That's why the Normans could invade, because we hadn't invented the banger yet.
We had not invented bacon yet, and that's why the Normans had to step in. They were like, we can't let this go by anymore. We've got to bring them like quality breakfast. And the Anglo-Saxons were like, no, we love our porridge. Stay away from us. So,
oh goodness,
that of course all happened in 1066 in that century. The 9th century.
Yeah,
Fast
nasty
forward
business.
To the 12th, very nasty business. Fast forward to the 12th century. Normans and Anglo-Saxons were actually already kind of combined, as were their breakfast ideas. So now everyone was kind of having bread, cheese, toast, gruel together. And by the 13th century, nobody was really sure what they were defending against, or what they were fighting for, or really what the tradition was. But they still felt very strongly about it because they are English. So they were adamant
not
that
the English, surely not
English. So they were very, very adamant that they had to stick to what a proper traditional English breakfast was, even though it had changed about 5 times from when the Normans invaded to the 13th century. So in the 14th and 15th century, Normans and Anglo-Saxons were basically all but incorporated. They were basically one big community.
Sure.
And this was also around the time that something called the gentry was born. Do you know what the gentry is?
That's us posh people. That's us.
It's us. It is. It's the high class. It's the nobility.
That's us.
It's the people who like to go to the country club on the weekends with the tennis rackets, except tennis didn't exist back here.
Yes. It's those of us that drink French rosé.
Yes, and not the ones that sip water out of a Beetlejuice cup. So, the gentry came to be around the 14th, 15th century. And it's a high-class social status. They considered themselves the guardians of old English traditions. They were all about preserving what it meant to be English, what it meant to be, a proud Britain.
I love that for them.
Yes. So with this guardianship that they had self-bestowed, this came with preserving values, culture, and cuisine of those who came before.
Basically describing us.
Yeah, it's basically, the Brits coming around every Sunday to the pub and having, like, we're doing it proper. We're doing it proper.
No half-assing here. No half-assing.
So gentry country clubs, which were very common and very popular, were kind of the hubs of these values, these culture, this cuisine. And this is where the English breakfast became a staple. This is where it came to be celebrated. It was one rich guy invited all of his rich friends around for breakfast, and it was an event. You came to have breakfast.
Which is like brunch today.
It's like brunch today.
Mm-hmm.
But it was also a buffet style, so that all of the food was displayed on this nice wide table, and the gentry just slowly meandered and walked around in their cocktail dresses and their fine robes, and they picked what they wanted. And I was like, today I would like this. And bacon still didn't exist, so they didn't have bacon, but everything else, from butters and jams and cheeses and cured meats, anything that was part of an English breakfast was on this table, and it was encouraged that you simply took what you wanted and then showed it off to your fine friends.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
Yes. So
did they have sausages at this time? They didn't have bacon. Had they started with a banger?
Not yet. Not yet.
Okay.
We'll get to what was on the table in a moment.
I'm holding on
So-
for it, Caitlin.
So a lot of course, with high class parties, it was all about social status. You know, the better the breakfast you served, the higher status you were perceived. You know,
Obviously.
food was very much to be seen as well as eaten. It's kind of like when, you know, the Brits started invading everywhere and they were so fascinated with a pineapple. Who had a banana on the table? Ooh, look how swanky we are.
Yes.
We have this luxury
Yes.
food item. Nothing has changed. This was exactly the same concept where it's like, look at all the food I have. Look how fancy I am. Doo-doo-doo.
Wow. Okay.
Yes, so these kind of breakfasts were often done before celebrations or great hunts. So it was kind of a way to bring the community
Oh.
together before they celebrated something else. It was kind of part of this event.
I love this. Okay.
Yes. And then anyone from visitors, family, friends, and neighbors were invited as long as they could afford it, because breakfast of this magnitude was expensive.
Currency.
Currency. It's all about who can pay for the breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, as I said, this breakfast table was a way to display wealth. It was to display quality of ingredients, as well as the method of preparation. You know, how you served each item, how you preserved your toast, what you served with your toast. Was it jam? Was it marmalade? Was it a fruit preserve? You know, you were very much judged on what was on this table. So there was a big
And we
effort to
still
be-
judge
and
today.
we still do.
We
Nothing has
still
changed.
judge.
Nothing has changed. Nothing
Except
has
sausages
changed.
and bacon.
Except that now we have sausages and bacon, but we'll get there.
Okay.
So what a proper breakfast was defined as at this time was baked halibut, fried whiting, which is also a fish for those who didn't know,
Oh.
broiled kidneys, and pulled
Okay.
fowl. So, you know, pheasant, chicken, turkey, whatever the game was that they were hunting, that was usually served. at
Interesting.
breakfast.
Goodness.
It was now at this time that they started throwing the idea around of pork sausage.
Oh, this is it. Oh, I'm intrigued, Caitlin.
Yes. This is also where black pudding came from as well.
Oh,
where they were
I'm
starting
loving
to
this.
introduce these more pork-centric fried meats,
Okay. Okay. I'm all about this.
right? So during the 17th century, we also saw the introduction of eggs and bacon. So this is where
Ooh.
that concept was introduced. So we had to was from the 9th century all the way to the 17th. We've only just discovered that we can put eggs on our plate.
Can I ask a clarifying question?
Yes, of course.
This is just in England. This is not
This is-
in the rest of
I am
Britain.
solely focused on an English breakfast right now. The rest of
Okay.
the world has got
All
their
right.
own breakfast traditions.
All
I'm
right.
sure the French figured it out about 6 centuries ago that they could put eggs on the table with their croissants and their cheese and their fine smoked meats.
And their
you know-
great wine.
The Normans probably had this all figured out at this point, but we were the
Mm.
English, of course. We were a slow but very proud people. Once we've made the decision ourselves, it's easy. But we have to get there first. We can't let other people tell us what to do, or we'll never accept it.
Really? That about the English? I'm shocked.
Nothing
Shocked.
has changed. Nothing has changed. That's really the lesson of today: is nothing has changed.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yes.
Lead on.
So, with the introduction of eggs and bacon, there was also a big rise in something else called English breakfast tea. I don't know if you've heard of this.
Oh, you're bringing tea into this? I love
is
that for
part-
us.
It was now introduced as a common
Oh.
staple of a morning drink that you had with your full, proper English breakfast, which was sometimes fish, was sometimes sausage, was sometimes bacon, sometimes eggs, but usually
Okay.
toast, jams, cheeses. You know, still a large
Mhm.
assortment.
Mm-hmm.
So things primarily stayed like this until the 19th century, when we got to something called Victorian England. And, you know, with
everything
Victoria, she
changes.
As she
Mhm.
was very revolutionary, was our Queen Victoria. Everything
She was.
changed. Nothing was quite the same.
Yeah, she didn't mess
So-
about.
With Victorian England, we saw something called the middle class. I don't know if you've heard of this. We haven't heard with the separation from the gentry and the peasants. Now there was this weird subsection where they weren't quite rich enough to be gentry, but they weren't quite poor enough to be peasants.
Oh.
So this came
Alright.
with a lot of industry. So this came with merchants. This came with industrialists. These were people who did not come from old money, but they came with great ideas that gave them money. And they took advantage of that, whether it was in ships, whether it was in inventions, whether it was the turn of the century technology, or just selling the turn of the century technology. But these people rose. And of course, the gentry were like, we want nothing to do with them. And the peasants were like, you're too rich to hang out with us anymore.
So this is the time of the Great Industrial Revolution. This is where everything changed in every aspect of life in the UK.
Yes, it's
in England.
we're still in Victorian, which is right before
Mhm.
the industry, but it was people starting to come up with these ideas of this industrial revolution. It was like
Yeah.
things are changing. Money is surging, and it's not just the gentry that has it. It's not just the peasants who are without. Now we have middle class, and of course, with
Okay.
middle class came the idea that we want to impress the gentry and the wealthy, because we're wealthy too now. And so there was a lot of copycat ideas of like, okay, now we're going to start pretending that we are wealthy because eventually they'll have to accept us, right? So,
Hmm.
along with the idea of the middle class, this was also the era of the cookbook. I don't know if you've heard of these. This is when the cookbook starts to come into play.
Oh, you know I love a cookbook.
I know you are a big fan of the cookbook.
Big
And
fan of a
Victorian
cookbook.
England is the idea of when the cookbook became a thing.
Oh.
And so that means that these high, fancy, swanky, big event meals suddenly became standardized because the cookbook said it had to be this way. It also changed
Right.
how efficient you were because the middle class were working. They were merchants, they were industrialists. They couldn't spend 6 hours having an English breakfast spread before a fox hunt. They had to, make money because middle class is ever changing, ebb and flowing.
They had to get their hustle on.
They did. So they had to figure out how to have these high, expensive luxury items, this English breakfast, basically on a dime and at half basically at double speed. So this is kind of where these slow, lavish things became a little bit faster, a little bit more efficient, as is, with the middle class, everything's just a little bit more efficient. And it became more commonplace to source quality ingredients quicker. So they were looking at local farmers. They were looking at how do we keep things quick, easy, and efficient without spending exorbitant amounts of money to get like the best. We don't need, Portuguese pork. We don't need Spanish fruits. We don't need the French breads and butters. We can do everything in England. So that kind of helped the boom of industry.
Okay.
Within
Okay.
You with me so far?
I am. I have so many questions, but I'm letting you go through the history. I have so much to say.
I don't know if I have the answers that you're looking for, but I will try. I will try very hard.
Okay.
So because
run with it.
the middle class now became the domineering party of an English breakfast because they had created the cookbooks, they had created the more efficient ways, they had standardized it, they had spread it amongst the middle class. It meant that the large buffet style breakfast that the gentry was used to slowly went out of fashion. Now it became a home staple. You had it with your immediate family before you went to work. It was not an event. It wasn't something to be celebrated. It was now just breakfast.
It was just a Tuesday.
It was just Tuesday. And today we had eggs, bacon, and toast.
Right.
And then we added this, and then we added this. So that's how it kind of went from this big celebratory, lavish thing to a more standardized, it's just in my house, it's just breakfast.
Right.
Does
that bring us to modern day, or have we introduced the sausage yet?
We have introduced a sausage, but now we're entering the Edwardian era, which was a very short period of time, but it was a very important period of time.
Okay.
So this is where the standard of English breakfast was really defined. This is where people were like, this is what an English breakfast is. It's no longer a spread at a table. It's no longer, whatever you can find. It's no longer just, oh, we found this in the market and we're having this for breakfast. Now it was like, people were like, this is what an English breakfast is.
This is an identity.
Yes. And because of this, so basically breakfast at this point was now defined as back bacon, which had now been invented, pork sausage, eggs, blood pudding, and some fried starch. And that could be fried bread, or another common one was bubble and squeak.
Yes, good old bubble and squeak. Okay. All right then.
So that was kind of what was defined as what breakfast was. Because now we had a definition, we had a standardization, and it was still considered a wealthy ticket item, we start to see English breakfast being served in hotels, on trains, for, it was kind of served to foreign dignitaries, politicians, celebrities, people of wealth. They would go to these hotels to have a standard English breakfast, which was bacon, pork sausage, eggs, blood pudding, and fried bread or bubble and squeak. So, of course, with this also started introducing tomatoes and beans because, a lot of foreign dignitaries are not just
was it like a baked
for
bean?
a whole plate of fried food. I think it was
A
buttered
proper
beans
baked
was
bean
how
or
it started.
just
So it was not
was
baked beans.
it? Oh,
Buttered
okay.
beans.
All right.
Buttered beans.
I got you.
Yes.
I got you.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. So not quite the baked bean, but we're getting there. We're starting to introduce. We're starting to think about it. We're starting
We
to
are
ruminate.
evolving. We are evolving at a fast
are.
pace now. Right. Hit me with it.
We are. So English breakfast is still an item for the rich and famous. It's a luxury item. We serve it to politicians, ambassadors, celebrities, people who are actors, movie stars. We're bringing it to the people who are influential. And then
Gotcha.
the industrial era hit for real. So no longer is it just industrialists and merchants who have it. It's now industry in general. Food prices dropped when industrialization became a big staple, which meant that we had much more advances in agriculture and transportation. And suddenly all of these luxury items were just a little bit more affordable for the common man. So by the 1950s, half of the British population started their day with an English breakfast. And this wasn't just the wealthy anymore. This was the wealthy did it, the middle class, and now the working class. They started their day with an English breakfast because they could
Which, of
afford
course, now it's renowned for being a working man's meal to start the day because it's so high in calories.
Yes, this is, and it became that way in the 50s because now they could afford it. Now they could afford to have bacon and sausage and eggs and beans and black pudding and fried bread, everything they could said like it was a decadent item that they could just dream of. Now they could just do it every day.
Yeah. Oh wow. Okay.
So English breakfast was started getting served at local pubs. And because of this became this level of breakfast become even more widespread. And because, of course, English breakfast is now widespread, the quality and service declined with it as well. Because the idea now was to just get it out in front of the working class as quickly as possible. So the cheap
because they got places to go, people to see.
They got It was like, well, you're going to use slightly stale bread. You know, the pork sausage is kind of, it's really more of like what's left rather than the prime cuts.
Lots of
you
fat.
start to see a big, very gristly, very greasy, very, kind of what we imagine an English breakfast to be today.
And served in a greasy spoon.
Yes, exactly. And so this was kind of where that happened. It was a poor man's breakfast, and the gentry, the high class, and the middle class, they wanted nothing to do with it. They're like, that is
they wanted their avocado toast at this point.
They did. They wanted a light, fluffy French croissant served with only the finest brie cheese imported from France. But it's not about the French. It's about English traditions. But also we want imported food because that's fancy.
Absolutely. Oh
yes.
wow!
So now,
so we're still at the 50s. Have we still got some evolution, or where are you taking us?
A little bit of evolution. So
okay,
the 70s and 80s was the big push, and it became a greasy spoon. It became pub grub, and then by the 90s, English breakfast was a cheap and cheery option. Emphasis on cheap. And this is also when non-traditional items started to appear on plates, like hash browns or chips. Sometimes chips would appear on the English plate because it was easy.
Tell me
it
ain't so. That's outrageous. That's just rude.
And
there's no place for it.
It started in England, so we can't even blame the Americans for this one.
I'm mortified. That's embarrassing.
Sorry.
That's
I'm sorry
embarrassing.
to reveal this to you.
Oh,
but
okay.
Also in the 90s, English industry was down. We were no longer this booming industry capital that we were in Victorian and Edwardian era. We were now more like, we'll just kind of pick and choose what we want. So of course food prices go up a little bit, and English breakfast is no longer an easy thing to scrounge up. It's more of like kind of like a Sunday roast, where it's like a once a week kind of thing rather than every morning kind of week.
Yep.
There was also concerns about health code and like how lengthy it was to prepare an English breakfast. So people didn't want to go to the greasy spoons at the pubs for breakfast anymore. They simply wanted to do it themselves. That said, English breakfast was still a popular choice for special events and celebrations because it was a large amount of people. It was a big gathering. People would come together. They would have a grease fest together. Clog your arteries as a communal family event.
It's got to be done. Love it.
So today, English breakfast is still a very common item in Commonwealth nations, and is considered one of the most recognizable British dishes, alongside with bangers and mash, toad in the hall, shepherd's pie, and fish and chips.
which are often features in our own home.
Yes. So that's the
Oh,
history of an English
okay.
breakfast.
So what, according to your research, belongs on the plate if you
Well,
are
it
making
depends.
a full fry up, an English breakfast? What does it now look like, and what should it not look like?
Well, it kind of depends on what variation of a breakfast you're talking about. Because there's
Traditional.
multiple versions. So if you want an English
Okay.
traditional, oh, excuse me. If you want an English traditional versus the Scottish traditional versus the Welsh or an Irish, you're going to get different things on your plate.
You do. You do get
Yes.
differences. Yes. Yes.
Yes. So if we're talking about a standard English breakfast, we
Yes.
have all of our usual suspects. It's back bacon, it's pork sausage, it's eggs, fried or grilled tomatoes, fried
Yes.
mushrooms, black
Yes.
pudding, baked beans, and toast or fried bread.
Yes.
Sometimes both, because we've done both in the past. We've had fried bread and toast.
We frequently do both. We do.
We go
both. Big, because we might
Yes.
only cook it once a month, but we'll go big when
Yes.
we do.
Yes, because of course, as we said at the very beginning of this episode, an English breakfast is a staple that you and I know very intimately.
Very, very well. Yes.
So another, I guess, accepted part of a thing, which we never grew up with, was bubble and squeak. We've never put
No.
bubble and squeak as part of
No.
our English breakfast. It was always
Never.
about toast. The bread was always the starch. And
Bread
bubble and
is the
squeak was its
carb.
own dinner. Yeah.
And that's why incorporating potatoes for me is a no-no, because we've already got a heavy duty meal, and your carbs are your bread, your fried bread and your toast. You do not
Yes.
need hash browns or French fries or whatever else other crazy people are putting on the plate with an
Well,
English breakfast.
See, I
There's a
looked into it.
Yes.
This about hash
Yeah.
browns and how they came to be. And it actually comes from a rejection of black pudding. So a lot of people, I think it was like if Brits of the English, if the English voted on what they would remove from an English plate, it would be black pudding. It was only had like a 25% acceptance rate.
No.
Yeah.
That I'm horrified.
I'm sorry,
does
but
not
black
make
pudding
that.
and white pudding, they were not
No.
popular items to have on your English plate, but they still
That's
needed
outrageous.
that little something. The plate wasn't complete without a replacement, so that's where the hash browns kind of you see more commonly.
And
It's
I've
people
been blaming
removing.
Americans for years about
I know, I'm
introducing
here
the
to-
hash brown. I'm shocked.
I am here to ruin everything. It's the Brits. The Brits will swap out black pudding for hash browns, and of course, Americans famously don't like things like black pudding or white pudding.
Too foreign.
So
Too foreign.
So they swap it out as well with hash
And,
browns or
and
chips.
for our audience, would you like to give them information on what a black pudding and a white pudding are, or would you like me to jump in?
I know black pudding better than I know white pudding. I
Go
know
for it.
the basic concept of a black pudding is it's blood
It
It's
is
pork blood.
Pork blood. Yeah.
mixed with oats,
Yep.
and there's something else in there.
Suet. You know, we make dumplings using
Yes,
like suet.
yes.
So it's pork suet, it's pork fat.
Yes, so
And it's pork blood that's
it's
congealed.
pork blood bound
Yeah.
by oats and suet and then
Yes.
fried, and that's
And
what blood
that's
pudding
it. So we slice it into big thick slices,
is. Mhm.
and then we fry it.
Yes,
And it is
and then white
fabulous.
pudding is the same thing, but it's with bone marrow, isn't it?
it's the same thing, but it's not pork blood. So a
Yes.
lot of people get squeamish when they hear that black pudding or white pudding is blood. Like,
Yes.
okay, but white pudding isn't blood. So it's
Yes.
all the other ingredients. So it has a higher fat content.
Yeah,
But
and maybe
it
that's
doesn't
it. It's
have-
made with
yeah.
fat instead of blood, but there is an animal element to white pudding
Yes,
as well, whether
but
it's the
either-
bone marrow or the fat.
Yeah, one or the other, but they are always fried.
Yes,
It's never, you don't just slice it and stick it on a plate. You're always
yeah.
fried.
You don't bake it
because-
in the oven. You don't put it
No.
in the toaster. It's
N-
fried
no.
because it's called a fry up for a reason. The reason it's called a
Yes.
fry up is because primarily English breakfasts are fried.
It's fried. And it's the same way. So another controversial point of view,
Mm-hmm.
you must have fried eggs on an English fry up. You do not
Yes.
have scrambled eggs. That
But I have
is-
seen it served with scrambled eggs before, and that's usually at a hotel or like with a continental breakfast. You'll see bastardizations like that where
Because
it's like,
it's
here's
easier.
different.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's easier. But also, okay, let's talk about a fried egg because we're
Yeah.
proud Americans and we're English.
We are.
We fry our eggs but then we flick fat over the top of our eggs because American sunny side eggs are slimy on the top. I don't understand it. I don't get it. Who wants a slimy egg? That's just rude.
Yeah, I think traditional
That's rude.
English fried egg cooking is we like to cook both sides of the egg, but we don't like to flip the egg, which is what Americans call over
because we
easy.
want it to be runny. It must
Yes.
be. It must have a runny center.
Yes, so
So
it's the difference
just
between a
flick a
sunny
bit of
side
fat.
and an
Yeah.
over easy. And British fried eggs are the combination of the two, where we cook it sunny side up style, but we flick fat on the top
Yes.
to cook the top,
Yes.
but
Yes.
not cook the yolk.
So I've had breakfast around the UK recently. So I travel often. London, traditional English.
Yes.
It's not tweezer food. It's not supposed to look pretty. Don't put garnish on a plate. This
You
is
don't like
working man's.
those little microgreens on the top to say this is a breakfast and you're at a hotel.
And I don't want tomatoes that still have their stems. This is not supposed to look pretty. This is not
Getting
supposed to
really
look pretty.
controversial now.
I know. Then you go to, I had breakfast in Edinburgh and the introduction of haggis.
Hold on, we're not there
With
yet.
black pepper.
We're not in
Oh.
Scottish breakfast yet.
Oh,
We're not there
listen.
yet. Don't read ahead.
I have opinions on
I
what
know.
goes on.
We'll get there. That's my next thing after I'm done with English breakfast is Scottish breakfast.
right.
Hold on a hot minute. We're not
Okay.
there yet. We're still talking about English. We're not getting
Okay,
into the other
English.
variations just yet.
Okay, let's
So yes,
do it.
English people are the reason why we have hash browns, sometimes chips, or sautéed potatoes in some regions. But it's because they don't like black pudding. You'll also see it
crazy.
sometimes served with regular toast, which we do. We serve with toast, but they'll
Because
serve
we
it
like
with,
our marmalade. We like
We
our
do. That's what I'm
marmalade
saying.
as well.
Because we serve it with jam and marmalade, or
Because
sometimes
we're
just with
fancy.
pizza.
We do.
Because we're fancy.
With our
Sweets.
mugs of tea.
Sweets on our greasy plate.
Yes.
There's also a Cornish version of an English breakfast because the Cornish have to be different, and also they come with this level of prestige that the rest of England doesn't.
Well, they
and
also
you'll
wanted
s-
independence. They wanted
Yes.
independence from the rest of England, so they needed
Yes.
their own identity. Okay, do tell.
So they have the Cornish breakfast, which is exactly the same as an English breakfast, but instead of a standard pork sausage, they serve Cornish hog pudding, which is basically a type of sausage.
I've never heard of that. That's
Cornish
interesting.
hog pudding. There you go.
I'm
So
gonna
that's the
have to look
variation.
it up. I'm gonna look
You
it
look
up.
it up. You
I
look it
will.
up right now. Well, I keep telling you about an English
A
breakfast.
Cornish hog pudding. I'm on
Cornish hog pudding. It's a
it.
type
Doesn't
of
make
sausage.
any sense. Okay, I'm gonna look it up.
So yes, traditionally we've been calling it a fry up throughout the episode. It's called a fry up because it's traditionally fried. Sometimes you'll also hear an English breakfast called the full Monty. And then the origins of that are disputed. But the most kind of common theory that you see was that there was a British Army general called Bernard Montgomery, and he
It
was
looks like
always
white
said to-
pudding. Hog's pudding
I'm
looks like white pudding.
I'm sure it's very similar, but it's a type of sausage, probably a white pudding filler, but that's what the Cornish do.
And it's pretty much made the same as white pudding, which is fat.
Mm-hmm.
It's the suet. They put oatmeal or barley inside and some spices. So it's okay. But they needed
Yeah.
their own identity, so that's what they did. I
They
got you.
sure did.
Right.
As with all things, with most of the facts about the English breakfast, it's purely down to spite and not wanting to be compared to someone else.
What,
That's
a
really the staple
spite?
of an English
Spite?
English breakfast is built
Ooh.
on spite.
Oh,
not
I love
eggs,
that for us.
Not sausage, not toast. It's built on
Spite.
spite and spite alone.
I love it. I can't
There you go.
argue. That is
There
not
you go.
controversial. Okay. I love it.
My final note on standard English breakfast is that, of course, in the 20s, in the 2026, in the 5s and the 4s, dietary restrictions are a lot more commonplace. So you see people pushing for a gluten-free or a vegan option. So there are vegan
have
acceptable
oatmeal.
versions.
Oh, okay. All right.
Standardly, it is accepted that you can have a vegan sausage or vegan bacon, or you can swap your eggs out with either tofu or egg substitutes.
Choose something
um,
else. Choose something
In
else.
these cases, though, you will see that tomatoes and the grilled mushrooms are much larger portion of the plate.
Really?
So they pick
that
and
would be
choose.
it.
That would be it. As well
That'd
as
be it.
the impossible sausage and some tofu scrambled on the side. But that would be what a vegan English breakfast would look like, which is a little more commonplace today.
So, of course, when we cook our breakfast at home, which, of course, is the perfect breakfast, everybody
Yes.
else's is just wrong. Ours is perfect.
Well, see, even
Everybody-
you and I disagree on what is correct on the plate because I hate baked beans. I do not
Well,
want baked
no.
beans on my plate.
No, and I agree with you on this one. But other members of the family do. So traditionally for us, 2 fried eggs, no slimy tops.
No.
Sunny side, no slime.
Mhm.
Then we're going to have pork sausage, has to be a banger.
Yep.
It's really hard for us to get back bacon here in the States, so we
Yes.
we
So we
slum it with
settle for
American,
American bacon.
We slum it with American bacon.
And I actually prefer American bacon because I like a higher fat content in my bacon. Back bacon I enjoy, but I tend to find it's very lean for me.
We do our grilled tomatoes.
Me too.
And we'll put them under the grill, get them nice and bubbly on the top. And we'll have our
Or the
mushrooms
broiler,
cooked.
as they call them.
A broiler. Thank you, darling.
We
And our
broil
mushrooms
tomatoes.
cooked in butter, so they're nice and soft and buttery. And then we will fry our bread in what's left over from the bacon and the pork sausage. That's how we fry our
Yes.
bread.
Yes.
Delicious. Absolutely delicious. And then we'll do buttery toast on the side on a separate plate. Because unlike our American friends, we do not tend to like sweet and savory on the same plate. So we keep our toast separate because we'll have it with marmalade. Oh, go on. Are you gonna be controversial?
No, I was
with
going to
us?
say sometimes some members of our family have put marmalade toast on the same plate as their eggs and their bacon, and I'm not putting in any names. I'm not directing any ire towards
just
any
wrong.
of my brothers, but
Just
I'm
wrong.
saying it's happened.
It's just, and we judge them for it. We do judge.
We do.
Yeah.
We do. As someone who's allergic to bread and will not partake anyway, like it doesn't affect me. I have my holier than thou attitude towards it. I'm like, oh, you settle for bread on our English breakfast. Ugh,
So that
what will they think of
there's
next?
got to be, so for us as a family to have a full English fry up, it's a special occasion.
Yes.
Because it was in
It's a
my
lot of
mind,
work.
oh, it's a lot of work because I cook it a roast dinner. There's a lot of different components to it if you do it well. But also calorie wise, it's got to be about 1,500 calories for an English fry up. So that's why I thought it was a working man's meal. It was designed to fuel factory workers and people going down the mines to see them through their entire day until they came home for their dinner, their tea.
And it's what it became. But I mean, originally it was
surprising.
Only the rich could afford the calorie dense breakfast because, of course, then it would lead into
Interesting.
hunting or a ball, or it was part of an event. It was the fuel for the event. But you spent 6 hours basically on these big English breakfasts, and then you would go on the hunt.
It's a lot of
or you
work.
would go to the dance.
Yeah, nice. And then you mentioned tea. So as you know, I'm a coffee drinker. I always have coffee of a morning.
And
I'm a coffee girl.
forgive you for it. We forgive
you. You love me regardless.
We do.
There are 2 exceptions to that rule. It's the full English fry up. I've got to have a mug of tea. Coffee has no place. It has no place with an English fry up. And if we're going for afternoon tea, which is another subject that I'm sure we will discuss at a later event.
You don't have a builder's tea. You have a very, you have a lemon tea basically.
For our afternoon tea, I'll have an Earl Grey with lemon, but when I'm traveling, I always have a builder's brew with my English fry up. Whether I'm in London, whether I'm in Edinburgh, whether I'm in Dublin, I always have a mug of builder's brew. The two just pair perfectly. Afternoon tea, because I'm so swanky, I'll have my Earl Grey, my fancy tea with some lemon.
Your swanky lemon tea, yes.
My swanky lemon tea. But yeah, there's no place for coffee with an English fry up. No, they don't go.
When you're really hammering down how British you are, that's when the coffee steps aside.
Yeah, that's it. Absolutely.
Otherwise, it's coffee and French rosé.
That's pretty much the only fluids I consume during the course of a day. That's it. It's coffee and French rosé. And the one hands over to the other. Once I stop drinking coffee, it hands over the baton to the French rosé, and that sees me through the rest of the day.
Yeah, and then when you're done with the French rosé, you switch to a decaf coffee. So it really is full circle.
It kind of is. It really is. Yes.
Don't worry.
So
I drink enough tea for the both of us.
So are we going to get really controversial with the differences between English, Scottish, Irish, and Welsh, and then
literally
talk about our crazy American breakfasts?
Yes. Literally my next page.
I love this for us.
To top off my research, let's talk about the variation. We just hammered down what an English breakfast looks like. Scottish breakfast, is probably the most varied out of an English breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
So with Scottish breakfast, and kind of, with the Scots in general, and much like the Anglo-Saxons and the Normans, there was this big push for identity versus the English. The Scots are
Yes.
famously do not like the English. They famously want to be very independent. So there was that big push of spite, which really is the staple of all.
We
proper
love
breakfasts.
spite. We love a bit of spite.
Yes. So for a Scottish breakfast, you'll still get the staples. You'll still get bacon. You'll still get eggs. You'll still get toast. But for their kind of fried meats, they'll choose a Scottish style or Stornoway black pudding, which is a slightly varied version.
Yeah.
You'll also sometimes see a lawn sausage, which is also sometimes called the square sausage.
Yes, I've seen that.
Instead of back bacon, they'll use middle bacon, which is kind of what we kind of gravitate towards with the American, where you should choose to like a middle or a center cut.
The streaky bacon.
Yes. And then they'll also sometimes pair it with a tatty scone or a potato scone.
And the haggis.
And very rarely, but sometimes in like the big tourist areas, you will see haggis, because people want to try.
I don't know how accurate that is, but staying in a hotel in Edinburgh, there was the haggis.
Well, I would say Edinburgh is a big tourist region of Scotland.
Sure.
It's where the plebs like us will go in Scotland to try Scottish cuisine. So there's a bigger push for haggis.
Yes.
Sometimes you'll see them push for white pudding versus their black pudding. They'll also sometimes serve fruit pudding on their plate, so mixing that sweet with that savory. Or they'll serve it with oatcakes instead of toast.
And then going to Dublin. Dublin was the place that they always served white pudding. Yes. Sometimes black pudding as well, but always defaulted to white pudding.
Yes. So that was the Irish variation. You'll see you'll see the toast and the black pudding swapped out for you also see fried bread swapped out for, instead they prefer something called Irish potato bread or potato falls, which is basically mashed potatoes stamped and then fried. They have a much heavier push for white pudding over black pudding. And sometimes they'll include something called a box tea, which is a potato pancake, because within your Irish, you've really got to hammer down that you're separate and you really like potatoes. We fall into the stereotypes.
Now, as your grandmother was Welsh.
Yes, hold on, we're not there yet. I'm not done with Irish. I'm not done with Irish. Stop jumping ahead.
The Irish. Okay.
Stop jumping ahead.
Sorry.
So the other thing that kind of differentiates an Irish breakfast from an English breakfast is sometimes they will serve it on a roll. So it becomes a sandwich, not a plate.
Which we do. We'll have a bacon and egg butty or a sausage and egg butty.
We'll do a butty, but a butty is not the same as a fry-up. Now, that's a completely different food item, but they'll put the full fry-up in a French roll and have that on the go. So breakfast becomes a mobile thing. So when you're going to work or school,
that's messy.
You'll literally dump your whole sandwich in a French roll and you'll eat it on the go.
Right.
Yeah. The other big variation with in Northern Ireland specifically, Irish breakfast is served all day rather than just in the morning. So it becomes kind of, a long-standing food, kind of going back to that old tradition of like you ate it for 6 hours before you went hunting. Irish breakfast you'll see in Northern Ireland specifically served throughout the day.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Now,
Are we done with the Irish?
We're done with the Irish. Now we can move on to Welsh.
Welsh and your grandmother.
My grandmother, who I'm sure is shaking her fist angrily at me for my the way that we do our breakfast. Welsh breakfast, there's two major variations.
I was taught by my mother how to make a proper English. So,
Well, I don't think you've ever done what the standard Welsh variations are. So I think Grandma failed you in that regard, because the two major variations in a Welsh breakfast is the introduction of cockles and lava bread.
How great. I mean, have you eaten cockles? Do you know cockles?
I love cockles. I love cockles.
Cockles next to the seaside in a little tub with salt and vinegar.
Yes.
Cockles on an English breakfast. Well,
can you imagine it accompanied with eggs and black pudding and bacon and toast? Cockles, but I also thought this was kind of funny because way back in the day, back in the 14th, 15th century, fried fish was part of an English breakfast. And the Welsh is the only variation where that's like stayed true, is they've kept cockles. And lava bread, I don't know if you know what lava bread is, living up to your proud Welsh heritage. It's basically a seaweed oat loaf, basically. So much like
I
the
don't think I've
Irish
ever
have
tried
potato
it.
farls.
Yeah.
Lava bread is seaweed and oat. That's
I
fried
don't think
and
I've
turned into bread.
ever. No, that is a new one for me. That is. But perhaps that's why my mother never introduced it into our household, is because it tastes crap.
Yes. Well, I mean, lava bread and cockles were traditional breakfast items for mine workers, as you greatly pointed out. Breakfast is all about the working class, kind of in today. So,
Yeah.
with lava bread and with cockles, the working man is going to hold on to what he recognizes. So when the full breakfast comes together, they keep what's familiar, because it's all about identity. It's all about spite. It's all about hating English.
Love that for us. I was looking up as well that in a lot of households, they will still have kedgeree. And I'm just going to see. I mean, we would never
Could you
have it.
define kedgeree for the
Yes.
people at home?
It is smoked haddock. So kedgeree is a mixture of it's haddock, it's rice. It's often slightly curried. There are differences, but it is still sometimes in upper class hotels and restaurants served as a breakfast dish. But you wouldn't put it on the same plate with your fry up. It would be a separate breakfast that you would order, the same way that you could order pancakes or whatever it is. But kedgeree is still served in for breakfast in some places, just not in our house.
No, because we are.
I don't fancy fish for breakfast.
We're pretty traditional.
We are pretty traditional in a lot of ways. Yes.
Yes. So I guess to top it off with the Welsh, that's they'll sometimes they'll swap out the sausage for a Welsh sausage. There's a bigger push for mushrooms and eggs, but this is kind of where the last place where you're likely to see fish still included as part of the original breakfast. So some might argue that the Welsh breakfast is truly the traditional English breakfast.
Your grandmother would be horrified to hear you say that.
I don't know. I think maybe she'd be proud that the Welsh got it right. I don't know.
Oh, okay. All right. And now, of course,
that's my research. That's kind of the history
and
the main variations. Yeah,
you took us on a journey.
There's a lot going into a breakfast.
Well, that's why. I mean, it's a big subject. But then the comparison between an American breakfast and a traditional fry up is stark. It's really stark. So
and you can definitely see that the original threads are the same, but truly, once again, maybe it's spite, maybe it's just distance, maybe it's just availability of local ingredients. But yes, British. What
I think we'll go with
spite. English. It's probably spite. The Americans hate the English just as much as everybody else hates the English.
So everybody hates the English. So I mean, to put a stack of pancakes, I mean, love pancakes. Very nice. Pancakes.
Yep.
It's a separate meal with syrup. It has no place on a plate with eggs or with bacon. It is a completely...
my father would disagree with you.
So we tend never to eat out for an American breakfast. We don't go out for breakfast. No, because no matter what we order, we will throw shade and scorn at. Because the eggs are wrong. So spite. Buckets of spite. Because the eggs are either rubbery scrambled eggs or slimy Sunnyside eggs or over easy that are just blue.
Yep.
And they stick it all on the same plate. I don't want syrup on my eggs. I don't want my... the whole thing just turns into a memory mess.
Of going to an American diner for breakfast, and I thought I ordered something very safe, and I ordered pancakes, like a side of pancakes, and like fried egg and sausage, and I thought I was being so safe, and they all came on, and I literally specifically said the pancakes are a side, so foolishly I assumed it would come on a side plate, but no, they served me the eggs and the sausage and the pancakes on the same thing, but they pre-jizzled the syrup. So my eggs were covered in syrup. My sausages were covered in syrup. And they had put barely any syrup on my pancakes. And I remember just sitting there going, what have I done to deserve this? What did I do?
And it's also, as you've pointed out, we have savory foods for breakfast. Savory.
Yep.
Why Americans need so much sugar for breakfast, I have no idea. And I can get behind a pancake. An occasional pancake. I can get behind.
I love a waffle.
An occasional piece of French toast. French toast. In our house, controversial. It's very controversial. Because our French toast that we cook is salty.
Yes. No,
There
ours
is
is basically
there is no powdered sugar.
I think the Americans call it fried egg bread, which is basically what it is. It's bread dipped in egg and fried, and then sprinkled with salt. But like fried egg bread doesn't roll off the tongue like
It does
French
not.
toast.
No.
And I feel
no.
like the Brits and the French have had a much longer, much more spiteful history. So I feel like we got that part right.
We've perfected our spite over
We've perfected
centuries.
it. All of our breakfast items are flavored with spite. So I feel like we got it right.
We do spite. We do
So
spite very
when
well.
I'm offered a plate of French toast with, well, arguably I'm allergic to bread, so I shouldn't be ordering French toast anyway. But if it's offered to me and it's covered in syrup and cinnamon and powdered sugar, I'm like, oh, I'm not sure what's happened. I'm not sure what I've done to deserve this. I'm not sure what's occurred on this good day. No, thank you. Please send it back.
I will throw myself under the bus in one area.
Oh dear.
And I was introduced to something that I avoided for years and years. We've lived in America for a very long time. And I would hear about maple bacon, like brown sugar maple bacon. And I'm like, that's horrific. It's just rude. Why would you? Why would you ruin perfectly good bacon? And I was on a flight and I was very hungry. And that's
usually how it starts, right? I was so hungry.
I was so hungry. And they had this maple bacon. And it was, it was crystallized, sugary bacon. And I stuck some in a croissant, just a plain croissant, and created like a bacon sandwich. It was exceptional. It was so damn good. It was really, and I was mortified for my own sake that I was embarrassed to like it, but I really liked it. So now if we're out and I see it, sometimes it's served, fancy big chunks, thick sliced bacon, and it's dripping in sugary maple.
I'm about to blow your mind and one up you.
Okay.
Because
oh no.
Not only do I also enjoy a good maple bacon and a maple sausage occasionally, I've done worse and I've eaten maple bacon on a donut.
Really?
Full glaze. Now, arguably this was in Canada, so it was kind of the thing to do. But there was a really I think it was in Quebec, and there was a really swanky donut shop, and everyone else I was with was raving about this this donut shop. Like, you have to go, you have to try. They have like the daily flavors. So I go into this shop, and they have like the staples. They have like the pink donut and the glaze, and I saw the maple glaze donut, which is basically a standard glazed donut, but sprinkled with maple bacon and then re-drizzled with the drizzle. And to say that, I'm like, when in Canada, you have to try the maple, right? You have to try the.
You have to. It has to be done.
And I had this maple bacon donut. I dream about it. I dream about this donut.
Okay, so
I think about that bacon donut fondly, and I'm like, oh,
we have to keep this a secret. We cannot.
It can't get out.
You and I and our listeners have to keep this as a deep, deep secret. It cannot get out that us traditionalists here. No.
Yes.
It's embarrassing.
Us fighting tooth and nail for the spite breakfast.
It literally is crack. But
next time we're in Quebec, Mum, we should try a maple bacon donut. I tell you, they're pretty good.
Okay. I'll have to try.
I'm just putting it out there.
So in conclusion, of course, we have the best breakfast in the world by far.
We do.
Sublime. Especially if you're ordering it in a Greasy Spoon cafe, a working man's cafe, where journalists and
you really feel your arteries closing when you walk into the building.
You've got to feel a heart attack coming on with the clogging that is occurring. It has to be done. Or in a pub. Don't travel to England and try and do a swanky breakfast. It's not traditional. It's going to taste crap. It's going to have tweezer food on it. It's going to have garnish. You don't want it.
If your breakfast has microgreens on it, it's not a proper English.
Send it back. It's a no. It's a no from us. Yes.
But I think I would like to try like a proper Irish breakfast, because I feel like it takes the toast element out. And as someone who cannot enjoy bread without keeling over, I really am. The idea of like a potato fall, or even like a Welsh, like the seaweed bread, I'd be like, you know what? I'm kind of tempted.
Okay, I'll take you to Dublin. and then we'll go for a proper Irish.
We'll go.
So
Yeah,
a lot of
next time
people
we're
will
together.
order an Irish. Yeah, yeah. I mean, good food.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Super.
I
Well,
can definitely be talked into it.
This was very educational. Kind
I
of shocking
try.
in places, kind of shocking. So thank you for introducing me to the history of the full English.
It's such a pleasure. I thought you would really enjoy the fact that a proper English breakfast is nothing if not spiteful.
I think I'm going to toast you and say you did actually poorly explain that, but rather well.
Okay. Thank you. I poorly explained it as best I could.
Here's to you, my darling daughter.
Chin chin, mama.
Chin chin, darling. Bye.
Bye, love.